Crawford throwing his hat in to want to fight Canelo at 168.
I mean, everybody wants to fight Canelo. It's the money fight. You know what I mean? I think even Inoue would come up to fight Canelo. Canelo wanted to fight him. I mean, I don't want to see Crawford to fight Canelo, to be honest.
David Benavidez has had his eyes on a fight with Canelo for a long time, but now he's shared his thoughts on what could happen if Canelo ends up fighting Terence Crawford instead. Benavidez isn't shy about praising Crawford for being one of the best fighters ever, but he believes Canelo has the upper hand if this super fight becomes a reality. And not just that, he actually believes Crawford stands no chance with even a huge possibility of him being slept.
The likelihood of a fight with you and Terence Crawford would be one of the biggest in boxing.
We're not talking about yet about the fight. Me and Tukaraj know each other, and then we wanna.
Canelo and Crawford are two of the biggest names in boxing today. Both are pound-for-pound stars who've dominated their divisions. Canelo has been an undisputed champion at super middleweight and has also held belts at middleweight and light heavyweight, with over 50 fights and only 2 losses, one to Floyd Mayweather early in his career and another in 2022 against Dimitri Bivol at light heavyweight. Canelo's resume speaks for itself. His strength, skill, and experience make him one of the most dangerous fighters out there.
David Benavidez said he want to fight Terence Crawford and get back for his brother. Terence Crawford ain't trying to do that shit. And this is the conundrum, right? A lot of people say, well, Terence Crawford wants to fight Canelo Alvarez to prove he's the best.
On the other hand, Crawford is a fighter who has never tasted defeat. He's been undisputed at lightweight and welterweight, and after defeating Errol Spence Jr. in 2023, he solidified himself as one of the greatest of his era. Crawford made a successful debut at 154 PBS in August 20,124 by taking the WBA light middleweight title from Israel Madrimov. It was another historic moment for him as he became a champion in 4 different weight classes. But while Crawford's achievements are incredible, Benavidez is skeptical about how well his skills would hold up against a bigger, more experienced fighter like Canelo.
I mean, I can't really say nothing about that. If that's what he wants to do, then that's what he's going to do. Canelo is a man that he does anything he wants to do. I don't think really what people say affects him. But I feel like the people, they want to see David Benavidez versus Canelo Alvarez. It's the biggest fight to make happen, and I feel like I'm the biggest threat.
Benavidez didn't hold back when discussing the potential matchup. He admitted that Crawford is a technical genius in the ring, but he pointed out that moving up too many weight classes can be risky even for someone as talented as Crawford. Crawford is one of the best technical fighters I've ever seen, Benavidez said. But when he went to 154, I'm not saying he had problems, but he didn't look like he had the power he had at 147. Now imagine moving up to 168. That's a huge jump, and weight classes exist for a reason. I'd give Canelo the edge in this fight.
They talk all the crazy stuff about me going up and having a tough time, but he went up in weight and lost. That's the difference. I went up weight and won. He went up and lost. You know, so let's not do that, Canelo.
The weight difference is the biggest challenge here. Canelo is naturally the bigger man, and he's proven that he can handle himself against bigger opponents, even at light heavyweight. Crawford, however, is relatively new to fighting at higher weights. While his win at 154 Ulbs was impressive, it's a big leap to go from 154 to 168, especially against someone like Canelo, who has been fighting at super middleweight for years. Benavidez is convinced that the size, power, and experience Canelo brings to the table would be too much for Crawford to handle.
A lot of boxers don't do this. This is why Canelo's not fighting Benavidez. Why would Canelo fight Benavidez, who's relatively unknown, and Benavidez beats him, and Benavidez becomes overnight a superstar? That's Canelo's letting Benavidez make a name off of him.
So you're saying
if Crawford were to fight Canelo at 168, it would be his first fight at that weight. Benavidez explained that's a lot to take on, especially when you're up against someone like Canelo, who knows how to dominate that division. Canelo's been fighting bigger guys, and he's used to the power and speed at that weight. Crawford might be the best at 147 and even at 154, but 68 is a different story. Canelo's track record at 168 is hard to ignore. He's been the king of the super middleweight division, and he's shown time and time again why he's considered one of the best in the sport. His most recent fight in September against Edgar Bangajer was another show of his dominance. he defended his titles with ease, winning on points in front of a packed crowd at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. Canelo's combination of power, precision, and ring IQ makes him a nightmare for anyone who steps into the ring with him.
Hey, listen, dog. Crawford fans, I've been trying to say this, dog. Canelo at 168 is all wrong for Crawford, dog.
Benavidez is also confident that Canelo's experience would play a huge role in this fight. Canelo has been in the ring with so many great fighters. He knows how to handle different styles, and he knows how to adapt. Benavidez said Crawford might be great, but he hasn't fought anyone like Canelo. The experience gap would be huge, and I think that would make a big difference. One thing Benavidez emphasized is that Crawford's power might not translate well to the higher weight class at 147. Crawford was known for his ability to finish fights, but at 154 his power didn't seem as effective. Moving up to 168 would only make it harder for him to hurt a fighter like Canelo, who has faced and beaten some of the hardest hitters in boxing. Canelo can take a punch. Benavidez said he's fought guys who hit a lot harder than Crawford, and he's handled it. Crawford would have to fight the perfect fight to even have a chance.
Better be a Bivol fight. You can say who you think's gonna win. You can't say like, oh man, I'm surprised the Bivol won, or I'm surprised the Better Be of won. You're like, man, that's a damn good fight. So and so won. So kind of how I feel about the David and Canelo fight. Like,
the possibility of Canelo knocking Crawford out is something Benavidez isn't shy about mentioning. He believes that if Crawford can't keep Canelo off him, it's only a matter of time before the Mexican superstar lands a big shot that ends the fight. Canelo's power is real. Benavidez said if he catches Crawford clean, it could be over. I'm not saying Crawford isn't tough, but Canelo is on another level when it comes to power and finishing ability. I wouldn't be surprised if Canelo puts Crawford to sleep. The idea of Canelo knocking out Crawford might seem far-fetched to some, but it's a scenario that can't be ruled out. Canelo has proven time and again that he has the ability to end fights with a single punch.
I think Canelo's gonna put the beats on him like Dr. Dre.
Do we get a knockdown from Canelo, or does Bud knock down Canelo?
Nah, Canelo's not going down. You could hit Canelo with a Louisville slugger. He's just gonna smile at you.
What? They gonna beat him like the beats of Dr.
His body shots are brutal, and his hooks are devastating. If Crawford can't find a way to deal with Canelo's power, it could be a long night or a very short one for the undefeated American. While the fight isn't confirmed yet, rumors continue to swirl about a potential showdown in 200 and 225. Both fighters seem interested in making it happen, and fans are eager to see two of the best in the sport go head-to-head. But as Benavidez pointed out, the weight difference could be the deciding factor. It's not just about skill. Benavidez said it's about size, power, and experience. Canelo has all of that on his side. Crawford might be great, but this is a whole different challenge.
In boxing, you know what I'm saying? And Terence Crawford is a legend. He's great. He's a great fighter. The only thing I see that favor Canelo is that, you know, is his weight.
Yeah.
And that he's more bigger. You know what I'm saying? That's the only thing. But as far as skill set wise, IQ, I feel like Crawford can match anybody and probably do way better. You know.
In the end, Benz's prediction is clear. Canelo would come out on top. If the fight happens, the weight, the power, and the experience all favor the Mexican superstar. For Crawford, it would be the ultimate test, a chance to prove that he can compete with the best, no matter the weight class. But as Canelo himself said, weight classes exist for a reason. Deontay Wilder's take on Terence Crawford moving up to fight Canelo Alvarez carries the weight of experience from someone who has witnessed firsthand what it takes to handle fighters in heavier weight classes. Wilder's perspective emphasizes the harsh reality of size and power dynamics. He doesn't deny Crawford's exceptional skill, but points out that the jump from 147 to 168 is more than just a numbers game. It's about handling the sheer physicality of bigger fighters. Wilder described it vividly, comparing smaller fighters moving up in weight to a baby when touching heavier opponents. He highlighted that the impact of punches changes dramatically with weight, making it harder for smaller fighters to absorb punishment or deliver it effectively. This point becomes even sharper when you look at Canelo Alvarez's track record. Canelo has fought some of the toughest men in boxing, including light heavyweights like Sergey Kovalev and Dmitry Bivol, and has rarely shown signs of being overpowered or outgunned. The Mexican superstar is known for his granite chin, never having been dropped even when facing hard-hitting opponents at higher weights. For Crawford, who is relatively new to super welterweight, Moving up to face a man who has comfortably ruled the super middleweight division for years is a daunting proposition. The difference in their natural size was apparent at their last weigh-ins, with Canelo carrying a solid 14 pounds advantage over Crawford. That's no small gap, especially against a fighter as physically imposing and powerful as Canelo.
These guys are so easy. Why do you need 3 times your normal pay? Crawford is easy. In my weight class, it's an easy fight, but give me 3 times what I normally make. Benavidez is easy.
As the world waits to see if this fight materializes, Crawford has one Hall of Fame legend in his corner, offering not just moral support, but also technical guidance. James Toney, a former 3-weight world champion, with a reputation for being one of the most skilled boxers of his era, is eager to step in and train Crawford for what he calls the biggest fight in boxing. Today, Toney's confidence in Crawford shines through his bold statements, even going as far as to dismiss Canelo outright. Canelo can be knocked out. He ain't all that, Toney said, adding his own colorful flair by stating that he could teach Crawford to fry Canelo in the ring.
When Barack from the Sweet Scientist threw him the alley-oop, he said, I don't want that. I don't want the excuses. Just give me the money and I'll beat him tomorrow. But you want 4 times what you get paid to fight that man.
Toney's belief stems from his own history of dominating at super middleweight, but it also highlights a potential gap in perception versus reality. While Toney's skills and experience are undeniable, the fact remains that Canelo has developed into a master of his craft, blending power defense and ring IQ into a nearly unstoppable package. For Crawford, having someone like Toney in his corner could provide valuable insight, but it doesn't change the physical disadvantages he would face against the naturally bigger Canelo. Crawford, for his part, remains undeterred. In a recent interview, he emphasized that this fight is about legacy. He described it as the biggest fight in boxing today, likening its significance to the classic era of boxing, when superstars like Floyd Mayweather dominated the sport.
Yeah, the size is an issue. Canelo is way bigger. This fight's at 54. He's got 2 weight classes to broach in order to get to 168 to fight Canelo. But as you said, champ, Canelo has become increasingly inactive in fights. He throws less and less.
Crawford views this as his chance to cement his place among the all-time greats, and he's well aware of the challenges Canelo presents. When asked about the Mexican strengths, Crawford pointed to his size and punching power as the 2 factors that stood out. However, he expressed confidence in his ability to adapt, citing his history of fighting bigger opponents throughout his career. The problem, though, is that Canelo is not just any bigger opponent. He's a seasoned veteran with a proven track record against fighters of all sizes.
I don't think it's a fight Canelo really wants, if I'm honest, because I think he feels like he won't get a lot of credit beating a light middleweight. And Crawford's going to move a lot in that fight, which is not ideal for him.
At nearly 38 years old, Crawford is nearing the end of his career, and critics like Oladipo believe his age, lack of recent activity, and the jump to a higher weight could work against him. Crawford is determined to face only Canelo, refusing to take a tune-up fight at super middleweight, which some say could prepare him better for the challenge. Oladipo suggests Crawford might be avoiding the risk of being blown out in a trial fight at 168. While Crawford won his 154-pound debut against Madoff, it wasn't a dominant performance, raising concerns about how well his skills would carry over as he moves up 14 more pounds to face a prime Canelo. Moving up to 168 could expose weaknesses Crawford hasn't had to confront before. What do you think? Share your thoughts below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more updates.